So hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing a story time, as you saw in the title, but I want to paint today. Recently I decided to start doing a few things to I think it helps me therapeutically. It's also better than sitting in the house and doing nothing but homework. So story time. So before we start, I don't know what I want to draw or paint. I have this fruit roll up. I know it's the morning, but I really want to eat it. I also have this apple cider lemon honey water that I'm gonna drink. So for that, I'm going to get this white. I'm gonna use this cute little brush because it smooths everything out. But I just wanted to talk about my experience so far in college. I know a lot of people have different experiences based on like circumstances and other people, I guess. Me personally, like if you watched the other story time, it kind of bases off of that, obviously, but because like it has like my freshman year and the end of senior year in that one, but this is all like what I'm talking about now is all on the purpose of like my experience in college. Beginning, we had senior year, which went awesome for the most part, until I got a concussion. And the last 2 weeks I missed a school, but I still graduated because my grades were enough for me to graduate. I didn't have to take the exams. I really couldn't either because, you know, I had a concussion. And that wasn't too bad. Like, things were not too bad, but I think ever since the beginning of that concussion was the beginning of a lot of loneliness, and which is something we've already experienced in COVID times as well. Don't ask why I'm painting this white, there's a reason. But yeah, so I told you in the other story time that I had began living with my grandparents because my mom and my sisters decided to move somewhere else, and I wanted to stay in the same area that I had already had school in, because in the beginning I was going to a university, but it was not like I got accepted there, and it wasn't in state, and my parents were excited, but at the same time we were also worried because we didn't have a lot of funds. So they're like, they encouraged me to try to find somewhere in state, and especially in high school, college searching in general is just very stressful. So I had already applied to a lot of schools in state. The thing is, I didn't get accepted to mostly all of them. So by the time I got accepted to a college that just happened to be outstate, I was so excited, but I was kind of put down when my parents were like, you know, try to find somewhere more in state. And I decided to start at a community college, which I feel like is put down a little more than it should be. It's actually a very good option for high school students and college students. It's cheaper, it's easier to get things out of the way. It's a really good choice. And like, I feel like it's put down and frowned upon for some reason. There's nothing wrong with community college at all. It's a very good way to help prepare you for a lot of things. It's still college. But anyways, I was in that college and I decided to live with my grandparents. And by that time, I'm still in the same area I had grown up with, so friends were still available, but not really. I was even though I was still in town with all of my friends or acquaintances and all that jazz. Even though like I had friends and all that jazz, nobody really contacted me because I'm normally the initiator on things, and I kind of felt like I was always doing things. I was always putting things into relationships, so I decided to test it out. I was like, I'm not gonna contact them for a while. Then I noticed how lonely I am, because that was the loneliest 5 months of my life. Even at college, back when we used to be on campus, I would go to the campus a lot of times, and I had friends in classes, but I had friends in classes, but between classes or at lunch, at the time I didn't have a car, and I would take it was a bus for like around the area, but I used to take the bus, and most times I didn't want to go anywhere because, you know, I'd have to come back because I had another class. So between classes, I was completely alone. Even when I went on the bus, I would go on the bus to get lunch or go shop or something by myself. And that was kind of boring, especially because I didn't have my family or my sisters or my mom were with me. And yeah, so that happened. Later on, something a little traumatic happened on the bus, causing my parents to have to they made a decision for me to go and live with my dad because they were a little afraid of what had happened on the bus. Basically what happened on the bus was I was chilling and there was this creepy guy, and I felt uncomfortable, and there was a lady behind me that she noticed the same thing. So she basically had my back throughout the whole thing, but like he was being awkward through everything, and I was trying my best to avoid it. So the lady was nice enough to stay with me throughout the whole thing until he completely left. And I remember I talked about it and all that, and my parents weren't too happy about it, so I had moved in with my dad, and that got even lonelier because, again, my friends or most people I knew were already in the area where my grandparents had lived. So a lot of times, because my dad moved out farther, so a lot of times I didn't get to do anything. My whole life at my dad's house consisted of me doing homework and taking care of his home. And then when I got a job, it was the same. Like my little sisters had moved in with us, which wasn't too bad. I wasn't too lonely. But my life still consisted of now taking care of my little sisters, going to work, doing homework, and being depressed. It was really bad. And what was worse was I was also planning for a study abroad trip to China, and I've actually been planning these study abroad trips since I think sophomore or junior year in high school, and they never worked out, and this time it was going to work out. The downfall of it all was that COVID had started, and at that time I had all kinds of free time, and I was about done with school. I got accepted to another university because I was almost done with community college. Job was stable. I was like, okay, I can do things now. Also, I was preparing for the trip. Things were getting better. COVID started and ruined everything. So by that time, I came down here with my mom, and like I stayed with her for the most of the amount of time and continued school online. And I do not work well online. Like I have to be face to face. But what first had started was I still had my job. COVID started, and I worked at a sort of grocery store, so at those types of stores, I had extra hours because they were the most important stores. And while getting more hours, I had 5 classes and things got a little too hectic. So I ended up having to quit because I almost failed, which technically I did because I ended up having to withdraw a couple classes and retake throughout the fall and summer. And by that time, while I'm down here with my mom retaking these classes, I slacked a little bit because things were already hard and I was just trying to get out and I was ready to go into the university. And that didn't do too well for me. And I couldn't go to the university because of the low grades. So I ended up having to take more classes and retake. Actually, like in general with regular living and all that jazz along with school, like all of these circumstances affect it in a certain way. And like I always felt like I was behind on a couple things because my friends were able to do more or ahead of me and all that jazz, and I was still dealing with college, and I was stressed out because of the circumstances of where I lived or circumstances of what was just happening in my life. And where I am right now is that I am still at the community college, but things are a lot better for school. By the time I get to university, I won't have to take any gen ed classes, but my living circumstances are the most stressful of my life. I'm also taking care of my dog, so yeah, things are a mess. But I totally wanted to do that story time about my college. College isn't bad, you know. Or I mean, community college isn't bad at all. And like, also to let people know that like, if you're like me, most times you feel like you'd be behind on a couple things, and I promise you, you're not. Everybody's circumstances and experiences are different, and we're not meant to be alike on everything, so you're not behind. We're also still young. I'm only 20, but and like where a lot of society expects us to be, a lot of people my age aren't even in the places that I would have thought would be a little bit more ahead or in a lot of people. Life is stressful and things are hard, but in time we're gonna get through this. And I'm trying to keep faith up and doing things like this so that I can keep myself motivated, because I have a lot to do and I'm not giving up this fast. I did not mean to use a pink. It probably turned that way because I didn't wait for the paint to dry. April's impatient, if you haven't noticed. Yeah. So this is what I painted. I'm not an artist, so I know it looks like a big bulge or explosion in the middle of the ocean, but it's really just the sunset and the ocean. But anyways, thank y'all for watching my video. I know I don't update as often, but I should soon be getting a new laptop and camera, so things will be a lot more often. So make sure you look out for those videos. Don't forget to give me a like and subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you later.